Hey, I'm Dieter. This is Logan. Warriors beat the Jazz 115-108. Final home game before the All-Star break. Warriors will play the Blazers Wednesday in Portland, and then they're going to get away. Let's talk about it. Three big things. First off, let's get over on this box score. Durant with 28 points, 7 assists. Curry 24 points and 4 steals. He had a nice defensive game. Andre Iguodala 3 for 3 from 3. What more can you say about Andre Iguodala on that? First thing of the night, Klay Thompson had a nasty finger.
His finger was, I don't
careful
want to try,
now. Yeah,
but
sensors.
His finger was like over here.
It wasn't something that your finger can do on its own. It happened when he got up on Donovan Mitchell. And then they just taped it back together. And he was fine. And he had a really nice game. He had 22 points. But thing I was most impressed about with Klay Thompson tonight, I guess you don't really need, an active hand. But he was great on defense. Mitchell, who was the guy he was guarding most often, 10 of 29 from the floor. He does that a lot, but Klay Thompson was a big reason why.
I think that this is something that we talked about, I think, last game, where from an analytics standpoint, you don't really see, Klay Thompson as an all-defensive guy. But when you look at the eye test, the old-school eye test, you see this guy should be on the all-defensive team.
No question.
And he does it he does it night in and night out, and plays against the opposing team's wing player, and they're the best offensive player. And kind of saw that tonight. I mean, just every time, just you got a block shot here and there, and just he's been playing really well this season. 2 blocks, and ultimately his defense. It was swarming team defense. You have to say something about that, but at the same time, his ability to just make Donovan Mitchell's night hell was a big difference in the game. Let's keep it on the defensive path. Second thing, I mean, I thought Klay had a really nice night. Draymond Green had spectacular.
It was great. Like, that's the game that you put on and you say, this is your defensive player of the year. He was everywhere. He was a specter. He was like Nightcrawler and X-Men, just popping from one place to the other. Inside, outside, he had a monster block at the rim. He was blocking shots on the perimeter, over-rotating on stuff. I mean, you just don't see dudes play defense like that in the NBA. It's transcendent. Well,
there was one play, and we were sitting next to each other tonight.
We had to watch it like 4 times in a row.
There was one play where there's a sequence where he blocks an alley-oop attempt to go to Gobert, and they go on, and the Warriors go on a fast break. The next possession down, he closes out on Jay Crowder and blocks a shot in the corner 3. He's been spectacular, and I asked Steve after the game if he's in the conversation every year of Defensive Player of the Year. Steve said it's every year. Now, we could say last year probably not, but this year he's definitely in the conversation of his goal was Defensive Player of the Year.
One of the big things about Draymond was I've been waiting. There hasn't been a Defensive Player of the Year, in my opinion, up until this point. That's kind of one of the spots that you can't say there's a clear-cut favorite, even favorites. Rudy Gobert's in that conversation. Paul George is in that conversation. There may be a couple other guys who are in that ilk. Draymond, with all the injuries that he had at the beginning of the year, hadn't gotten in on it. But when you saw the flashes, they're blinding. They're insane. Again, no one can do what he does the way that he does it. The flashes are now turning into full games. And if he can carry that through in the final 20-something games that we have here, it's going to be really hard to take that away from him.
Let's not forget, early on in the season when he was battling those injuries, to your point, he shut down Karl Anthony Towns early in the season. He played,
I got something to say about that, but I'll leave it off camera.
He played really well against Anthony Davis.
Yes, that was an accomplishment.
And he played really well in these home games.
Yeah, it's not like he's been a bad defender. It's just not Draymond level. There were possessions off. Mind you, team defense too. It's a long conversation. This is something that I think we need to keep our eye on going forward. Draymond Green just dealing with his candidacy for Defensive Player of the Year. Third thing tonight, Boogie gets extended run. What did you think of DeMarcus Cousins' game tonight?
I think he played really, really, really hard tonight. And I think that he is really trying to get back into conditioning by any means possible, because you see him running down the floor. I've seen Boogie play since his second year in the league. I have never seen him run and throw that much effort on a consistent basis every time down the floor. He is sprinting down the floor to get to his position. He went 4 of 17 tonight, but to your point, it was not a lack of effort at all. Throughout the night, and he's trying to get back into it. He played a season high 28 minutes tonight. This is the type of games that you kind of expect if he's going to try to get into that flow. He's really trying to get back into it. I know the numbers don't say it as of late, but he's really playing hard.
He will not play in Portland. That was a decision that Steve Kerr and the coaching staff made. They didn't want to push him back-to-back games. We'll see if that happens in the second half of the season. I mean, maybe not. Totally agree. Played hard, and the defense is rough still. Yeah. Utah kind of went away from him. I'm not really sure why. They ran pick and roll with Rudy Gobert on like the first 4 plays, and they were getting buckets every single time. Draymond helped out, maybe overcompensated a little bit there and shut it down. And then the Jazz never really went back to it. But if he's playing with this kind of effort and his body ever gets back, oh, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be dangerous because it was mostly tonight his shot not falling. He was 1 for 6 from 3. I mean, you put in 2 or 3 of those and the stat sheet looks a lot different. So can't knock the man for hustle. Just maybe the first time anyone's ever said that about DeMarcus Cousins. Yeah.
That's a Jay-Z line. Good job. Street cred. 3 things. That's the only thing you
We got to stop right there. It's never getting better for me.